Did ya miss me? So there has been a handful of memes of me that have gotten a lot of views on TikTok. I always love when this happens. Me every time Rockstar says GTA 6 will come out on May 26, 2026.
Why can you not stop lying? Please stop lying! What is wrong with you?
The fuck is this blue ball, this blue and red ball in the middle? God damn it.
Why can you not stop lying? Please stop lying! What is wrong with you?
I, for one, do think it's gonna come out May 26, 2026. I don't think they're lying. What is the context of this? Why is he screaming? Why Viper angry? Oh, God. What is the context of this clip? The other one was just some random clip of me. This one's got 177,000 likes. When my HB texts me and it's a genuine death threat to my family because I won't hop on. I'm not Gen Z enough. What the fuck is an HB? Homeboy. Thank you. I sat there for like a full 5 minutes analyzing HB. Probably should have Googled it, honestly. Probably should have Googled it, but now that you say it, obviously. Okay. What the fuck is that? What's that? I love that I look at the camera just a little bit at the end. But that 177,000 likes? That's crazy. It's always great when like Mr. Phillips gets something that pops off. Because he does the most of these. Like we just take a random clip of me and then puts like a text on top. Most of them don't get that many views though. But the occasional one gets like hundreds of thousands. This one's got 60,000. Me after taking a sip from the Pepsi Max of laughter and confusion. I'm losing it, guys. I've lost it. Okay. I'm losing it, guys. I've lost it. Okay. I love memes like this. Makes my day. So the mystery got solved. People on TikTok have been asking me for a week to grab my camera during my live streams. This is apparently why. Not at all what I expected. So I live stream on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. And so I get the TikTok messages from people and like, grab the camera for blah, blah, blah edit. Grab the camera for blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know, what are you talking about? Like, and I did this multiple times. Like, I just, whatever, you know, it's not much. It's an easy thing to do. And I didn't do it for every person, but I did it like at least 4 or 5 people. And no one showed me these edits. I'm like, these people just fuck with me, whatever, right? But yesterday, or was the day before, whatever. A person finally, they come in and they say, grab the camera for a Lamar Jackson edit. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I never get to see these edits. He's like, no, I'll at you in the edit. So this is apparently what all the people have been telling me to grab the camera for. From Lucas Johnson. The Lamar Jackson edit you asked for at DarkViperAU, tempted to do a Lamar Davis edit. Okay, here it is.
Give it up, gonna be alright.
Not what I expected. Good edit, funny stuff. It's always interesting what they're doing over on TikTok. Like, people hate on TikTok, right? You know, YouTube people and TikTok, Twitch people and stuff. I like TikTok. I like the algorithm of TikTok. It always seems to be serving me interesting, wholesome stuff. Especially if you just tap not interested in stuff. Like it more than any other algorithm will give me stuff that never makes me feel bad or angry or whatever. Like it's just like puppies, little cute memes about couples and stuff. And then just anime stuff. There's a guy who talks about Jujutsu Kaisen theories, which is an anime thing. And I've watched tons of his videos. What if you had like 100 Megamis versus Jogo? Okay, I'll watch this, whatever. I like that stuff. Yeah, and they always the memes on TikTok, like it's its own culture of memes and interactivity that doesn't really seem to exist much on other platforms anymore. Like it reminds me a bit more of early YouTube, where a lot of early YouTube was more simpler stuff that was more related to community and conversations and stuff. But TikTok has its own like communities that naturally interact in part because of their algorithms. And I like it. YouTube Shorts, while having much of the same content, and you can have a good algorithm that feeds you good stuff, it doesn't have that kind of community feel or that like, sort of meme stuff, at least the community meme stuff that TikTok has. I'm the youngest person ever. That's me. I'm a Zoomer, Gen Alpha, TikTok guy. What up, my fellow kids?
Random question. WWE is coming to Perth, so I was wondering if you ever been there and is it nice over at Perth?
I've never been to Perth, unfortunately. It's Western Australia. I'm sure you guys have all seen this before. The way that standard maps are done, the goal is to keep the same shape of the countries rather than their size. So America over here, here's the US, here's Australia. Looks like smaller, right? But you move it and it's like just as big. The things go up here, they stretch like, you know, it's the same size as Canada kind of thing, right? So when you ask me, like, have I been to Western Australia, Perth, which is over here, you're talking like, has a person in North Carolina been to Los Angeles kind of thing. It isn't a quick step hopping them there kind of thing, right? Unlike going from, you say, Sydney to Brisbane or Sydney to Melbourne down here, right? This is the coast I'm on. I haven't even been to Brisbane. It's also because you don't get direct flights from Brisbane to other places. It's just from Sydney. For really far away places, like I can't fly from Sydney to Florida. Doesn't exist, right? I can only fly from like Sydney to LA to Florida or Sydney to Hawaii to Florida, something like that. I do think that there are planes that can do that distance. I think the max range now for a plane is like 22 hours, but there's just not enough demand for specific flights to specific states in the US. So it's like, this is like the hub and then it all goes out everywhere. This is like, at least my understanding, right? So no, I haven't been to Western Australia, is what I'm saying. Maybe one day. It's a beautiful place. That's all I hear. Have we talked about this before? Do you guys not have this in your countries? Bin the machine that comes by, picks up the bins and chucks it in? A lot of people saying no. A few people saying yes. In Australia, this is the norm. Like this is literally everywhere. All forms of roads and stuff are made to accommodate this machine. And some people are writing in the comments like, oh, this would put garbage men out of business and stuff. Yeah, like this person. Well, this person's quoting someone else. Nice, but will create massive unemployment. Australia has been doing it for over 20 years. It's extremely efficient and fast. People still need to drive the trucks and line where the bins are. So like, of a week, what happens? Like the day depends on your particular area. I guess that's to make it so you can, so that the trucks can be used in different locations. You don't need to make a million trucks working on the same day. So you learn what day you're meant to put your bins out on the front road, outside the front of your house. And then the machine just comes by, picks up. I'm sure it must be a pain driving that huge truck and not hitting cars and stuff. But yeah, I was just surprised that this isn't a thing. Like I understand like some countries where they don't have modern infrastructure and stuff, why? But when I'm hearing like places in the UK and the US don't have it, it's nuts. One of the many wonders that you will be able to experience if you ever come and live in Australia. Yes, so apparently some places have them around the world, just not all places. Maybe the reason why some people haven't seen it might be because like in older major population centers, you wouldn't be able to fit a truck that large through. I went to Rome in Italy, like all around Italy and stuff recently. And I'm like, well, yeah, you couldn't get a truck like one of these all the way through, right? So the older your city is, the more compact the streets are and stuff, the more likely you haven't seen thing like that, right? And that would also be where a lot of people would live as well. So it's just Sydney and Melbourne and well, I guess Australia in general, like its modern incarnation, it's still quite young relative to a lot of other countries.
Happy anniversary, Matto. I know where I could fit the truck.
Weird. I know that my yapping at the beginning of my streams is not an asset to my business. As I've always said, any time spent rambling about stuff is not the most productive use of my stream time or my time in general. There is an audience for that kind of stuff within my core audience, but it is a very tiny portion of the overall audience that I have. I am far more successful just playing GTA 5 every moment that I possibly can, as long as I'm doing something interesting, rather than yapping at the beginning of my streams. Some creators, they do have a benefit to that yapping in the beginning. I've never been that way. The reason why I ramble at the beginning of the stream is because I want to. I enjoy doing so. I like talking about my fears and concerns and what's interesting me right now. Because while 90% of what I'm interested in and I care about is, you know, YouTube, Twitch, GTA 5, Rockstar in general, there is a portion of stuff that isn't that I also like to talk about sometimes. As you should, it's your stream. Yeah, but you know, I wish ultimately that I was some machine, beep boop. No, I mean, I wish ultimately that I didn't have these feelings, because then ultimately that'd be in my best interest, right? But this is just how I am. I was a yapper before I was a GTA 5 speedrunner. And then when I became a GTA 5 speedrunner, I was a GTA 5 speedrunner who yapped on stream for hours on end while speedrunning, yapping about everything under the sun. I do the least yapping today than I ever have in my history. And it's in large part because I'm just so bleak. I just have such a negative view of the world now. Well, I've talked about before, there's just so many reasons why I yap a lot yet less, but I still, I have things I still want to talk about sometimes, and I'm sorry for those who feel put out by this. I'm kind of worried. Are you sad about something? 10 years ago, you could say I was optimistic about the future and had some trust in people, and I thought that the average person was decently capable and not necessarily malicious or selfish to the degree that it might destabilize society. I no longer think that. I'm no longer optimistic about the future, and my trust in people has declined massively. Whether these feelings are justified or not, it doesn't matter, but this is the way that I feel. And I miss having a positive attitude about the world. I think humanity is always going to limp along in some capacity long after I'm gone, but I don't necessarily think things are going to continue to get better as things generally did over the last, 100 years. But then again, people have been predicting, the end of society and the end of the world forever. And at least in modern history, they haven't been correct yet. So maybe I'm wrong. Of all the things that I believe, or that I suspect, I don't know this for certain, I can't predict the future, absolutely. I hope I'm wrong about this. What's arsonist mean? Person who starts fires. I'm sorry, I paused for a second there because I didn't know if it required you to like starting fires in the same way that a pyromaniac would, but it doesn't. It's just a person who starts fires. Yeah, so a pyromaniac would be different from an arsonist because a pyromaniac finds enjoyment in lighting fires. An arsonist is someone who starts fires illegally. Does it require it to be illegal? I think that's usually the context in which it's done. Yeah, it's probably the case, right? It's interesting when someone asks you about a word and you just pause and go, what does that word mean? You use it in context to mean a particular thing, but it's the exact meaning. Especially because a lot of the words that we learn are learned through context. We often don't think about the explicit meaning of words. What's interesting though is, given that I have an international audience and a lot of people who speak English as a second language, I sometimes have to stop and think, would a person who has just learned English, recently or as a second language, would they know X word? So when I was doing the Melee only challenge, I was like, does the average person know what Melee means? I only know it, I learned it as a kid because of Super Smash Bros. Melee. And someone in chat was like, I know what Melee means. I did a poll in my Discord, which is usually what I do when I want to know if a person knows a word. And 96% knew. So 100 people out of 2,600 didn't know what Melee meant. So I mean, if 95% of people know a word, then I'm going to use it. But that's just a consideration that I've had persistently through my career, trying to be understood by as many people as possible. Because I do not know what the average person knows. To rephrase that, because the way that I phrase that implies that I don't know as much as the average person. I mean that I don't know to what degree the average person understands the same stuff that I understand, right? Even if I am actually average, which, who knows, it doesn't mean I have an understanding of everyone else at a similar level, right?
I'm always impressed by your ability to maintain the same voice energy and level for hours and hours. How?
I don't know. I have heard that some people have an issue where, everyone has this issue, even me, where if you record voice lines at the start of a day and you record voice lines at the end of the day, you will sound different because, at the beginning of the day, you might be barely awake, but at the end of the day, you might be tired. And so you sound a little bit different. But me, I sound pretty much the same. It's almost like, because this way that I'm speaking on stream is something that has been developed over so many years, where this isn't really how I speak if you meet me in public. I guess it's the same way that, you're on the phone and some people have a phone voice. I have a streamer voice. I have a gameplay voice, I sound a bit different with Ty, though, yeah, because it's impossible to avoid, right? But I do sound similar enough that I don't have as much difficulty blending together recordings from different times of day in works that I produce. Can confirm, in TwitchCon, you definitely talk differently, yeah.
Hey Dark. I come and watch your videos whenever I'm down. Me and my girlfriend are in a rough spot right now and might break up. So I decided to come to today's stream to cheer myself up.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Silly. Well, I hope regardless of what happens that it works out for the best. Sometimes, particularly bad times can lead to good things. Me and my girlfriend at least twice have had particularly bad arguments. And completely pointless ones at that. Happens. The worst argument is always completely pointless. They reveal deeper conflicts. Honestly, I feel like our relationship is better for those arguments. Could you kind of reflect on them and realize how pointless they were and how much the relationship means to us? Which is why we reflect on the arguments as completely pointless. Especially because they didn't really have much of a substance. I don't want to get into my personal life too much, but at least you don't have a psycho of a girlfriend that I had. I mean, she's Latina, so there's a little bit of crazy there. It's funny. There was a post on Twitter of this exchange that happened on some dating website where this girl says to the person she just dated, like on the date, apparently she said, "I warn you, I'm a little bit crazy." And so the guy afterwards messaged her and he was like, "Look, you know, I'm not really looking for someone who's kind of crazy and you know, whatever. I wanted a simple life. I'm sorry. Hope you understand." But like, some people just joke like that. Some people, when they say crazy, they mean like wild and outgoing, or they like to do stuff. They like to have some fun nights. They're just a bit silly. Yeah, it's not like they don't mean to be, they're not saying they're literally insane. They're like saying they're adventurous or whatever, right? It's people just joke about things and communicate in that way that it's a little bit different. And that's what Aitana means when she says she's a little bit crazy. DarkViperAU dating tips. I have absolutely no advice as to how to find someone to date in this world where people are somewhat socially disconnected. I found my girlfriend through my sister. So my advice is to simply know someone who happens to know someone else who's single that happens to be a good fit for you. That's a good start. Did you have braces? No, I use Invisalign. I talked about this before many times in Rambles. My teeth were like 90% good. Tooth or here or there, not perfect. And so I was like, well, you know, I may as well just like get them fixed because why the fuck not? Like I can't take care of myself because I'm too busy working, but this thing's like I can do passively. So I'll fix my teeth and then they'll be fixed. Didn't know that if you get your teeth aligned, you have to continue to maintain them for the rest of your life, unless you get it done really early in life. So I have to wear like a retainer when I sleep to keep my teeth straight. Had I known that, I still probably would have done it because it's not that big of a deal. But I wish I knew that before I made the decision to spend a lot of money to get my teeth perfect. This tooth here, still not perfect. I've been doing it for over a year, and this tooth was like turned, and it says I've slowly had to turn it, and my teeth are now like 97% perfect. But yeah, so Invisalign is the thing I have, and I just do it when I sleep. So.
Do you think GTA contributes to normalizing hate?
Nah. Maybe that's self-serving, but like, it's a cop-out to say that hatred has existed forever. It's true, but that doesn't mean it was necessarily normalized, right? And like, violent media existed before things like GTA. I can't tell you if things have been made worse because of things like GTA, but I don't think the release of GTA titles correlates with a change in overall hatred and political divisiveness around the world. As far as I'm aware, current research in terms of violent tendencies at best simply finds that games like GTA engage a flight or fight response, meaning that a person is more likely to act aggressively in situations that can prompt such behavior after playing a violent video game. But these tendencies are not persistent, they're not consistent. They are simply a thing like if you go to the gym and you amp yourself up, get some adrenaline in your system, that same chemical response is one you can feel while playing violent video games. And it's that chemical response that can cause you to potentially act this way, not the game itself. So it's not a persistent change in your behavior or temperament or beliefs. It is just, you know, the chemicals that are released in your body when you get amped up for anything. That is my understanding from half a decade ago when I cared about this stuff. Maybe I'm wrong these days. How about let's ask AI, which is not the be-all end-all of what is true, but second opinion. That could also be wrong in the same way I can be wrong. What conclusions can we draw so far? Violent video games seem to be one risk factor among many for minor aggressive behavior, e.g. verbal aggression, short-term annoyances, but are not a proven cause of major violent crime. The risk is moderated heavily by context, individual differences, game design, comparative versus cooperative, presence of social norms / moderation, insight versus supervision, cultural background. Yes, there's hate speech in online gaming communities, and that's about it. I did a research paper on this, and my study found that the results paralleled that of political ideology. Interesting. Hi! Getting to the end of a Viper Rambles episode proves that you like me and my work far more than the average person. Given that, it's possible that you might find value in becoming a YouTube member. Members get early access to all my videos, including Rambles, as well as access to my growing library of re-uploaded deleted videos, 5% off my merch, and the ability to leave comments and feedback before public release. which is incredibly helpful for me and my team. You also get a cute badge next to your name, so I can easily identify you in my comment section and live stream chats, and you can also use all my cute emotes everywhere on the channel. Lastly, after 3 months of being a member, you can submit on my Discord to join my GTA Online crew. Thanks for the consideration, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you enjoy future ones as well.